Hello, I'm Lucy from Vickshanks. Welcome back to our channel. It is June wrap time. It is July TBR time. I'm going to tell you what I've read, what I'm going to read. As always, I am well up for recommendations, so please do drop them in the comments below. Last month, you came up with some crackers, which are totally on my list now. Some of them already purchased. Watch this space, you shall find out. So it's been a good month, but I haven't read a lot. A good month, not a prolific month, but that's fine. I've read 4 books, and on the whole, pretty good, I think. I'm going to talk you through. Reviews for all of them are out, or almost out, in the big wide world. Actually, that's a total lie. I'll tell you what's reviewed, what's not when I get there, because that is not true. This one's reviewed, The Pharmacist by Rachelle Atalla. This is a dystopian fiction set in an underground bunker following a nuclear incident of some sort. Might be war, might be not war. We don't know, it doesn't matter. They're in a bunker. It follows Wolf, who is the pharmacist, struggling with her conscience. What decisions will she make? How far will she go to survive? And by survive, I mean actually not get murdered, but also retain that little core of who she was, who she wants to be, if ever they get back to the outside world. It was really good. I liked it a lot. Totally recommend. It was a debut. I would look out for her again. There is a full review of that. I shall link it down below. There's not a full review of this one, which is the first reason why I fibbed. We are Bellingcat by Eliot Higgins. It's a non-fiction one. I don't generally pick up non-fiction, but I did under duress from Scott, who was like, you will love this book. And he was correct. I did love this book. It is the story of Bellingcat, who are I was going to say a vigilante organisation, but that makes it sound like it's got some negative connotations. But they are an organisation that began with very much civilian armchair political observers, who then started piecing together information from various open sources, like social media and newspapers and, every publicly available information, to gain actionable intelligence. For example, they worked out what happened to MH17, the plane that was downed allegedly by the Russians over Ukraine a few years ago. They worked out what happened to the Russian opposition leader who was poisoned, Navalny. They've worked out so much stuff. They once tracked down a missing dog. There's a spectrum. It's not all Russian tracking, but basically it's how you use, or how they used, open source intelligence and a community of open-minded industrial civilians to find evidence that the authorities have overlooked and bring people to justice. And it's just gripping, and they're very clever, and I wish I'd thought of it. And yeah, they're good. That's a good read. If you're interested in, politics and social media, and it's more than social media though, the intelligence, how they find out stuff, what goes on behind the scenes, and anyone can do it. Bellingcat. I am Bellingcat. Definitely read that one. This one has a review for it up. I shall link it down below. Aurora by David Koepp. He's a screenwriter of Jurassic Park. This is his second novel. Cold Storage was his first, which was trying to stop a pandemic, which was amazing, brilliant, such riotous fun. I'm going to link the review to that down below as well. And this is about a solar storm that wipes out electricity in the whole world, not for just 10 minutes, but potentially years. But it's very witty. It's got a good pacey plot with a few, a little lull in the centre, and it's not quite the magic of Cold Storage, but it was, good, fairly mindless entertainment. Nothing too deep and meaningful. And yeah, it's about localism. I think it's about what do we do when globalization stops working and we have to go like hyper local, what happens? Kind of a bit dystopian as well. Right, now the next one. Right, this one, there will be a review. Oh, it's stuck. There will be a review because I have things to say. I think. Has anyone read This Time Tomorrow by Emma Straub? Now, every time I've mentioned this book in a video and I have not been able to see the book like this, I have failed to remember its name every single time. If you've seen the last few videos when I've talked about it, could not for the life of me remember what it's called. And now I've almost finished it. I wonder if that is indicative of how I feel about the book in general. It's fine. It's reasonably entertaining. It's trying to do quite a lot in there. But am I going to forget it in like a week? I think I might do. But the jury's out. It might have an amazing ending. It is the story of, oh God, it's the story of the woman whose name I can't remember. I can't even remember her name. This is what this book is. Oh, it's going to bug me now. Alice. I couldn't even remember her name. What is it about this book? Right, Alice, it's her 40th birthday. She goes to sleep on her 40th birthday and she wakes up on her 16th birthday. But with her 40-year-old brain inside her 16-year-old body. And then it is what happens next. And God, I'm not even making up the fact I couldn't remember her name. And then I couldn't remember the name of the book. I'm undecided. You'll have to watch the review to see what I decide and why I decide it. It's okay. It just might be a bit forgettable. So that is what I've read so far. On to the good stuff. What are you reading next month? What are you reading next month? I like that feeling at the start of a month when the world is your oyster. Right, I've got a couple lined up. Should I start with the ones I've got or the ones I haven't got? I'll start with the ones I haven't got. Hold on. There are two books that I plan to read this month. Oh, I don't even know if you can see my face anymore. That I have not yet got physical copies of. One is Jessie Burton's The House of Fortune. Which is the sequel to The Miniaturist. It is set in like 1680-ish, and Nella was the main character in The Miniaturist, and we are following her niece, I think, who's called Thea, and Nella's family have fallen on really hard times. So she was very poor and she married into money, and now it sounds like it's gone full circle and the family is really struggling. They throw a ball as a bit of a last hurrah to try and marry off Thea into wealth and like keep the family alive. And not quite sure what goes horribly wrong, but I feel like something goes horribly wrong. And the miniaturist comes back into the fold. And I just really, really hope it's good. I really hope it's good because I loved The Miniaturist so much. And you know, sometimes, like if you read a bit of a rubbishy sequel, it can kind of tarnish your memory of the original one. But I'm having faith in Jessie Burton that she's not going to do that, because what were out of the books? Oh, there was The Confession, which was like a story about motherhood, which I loved. It's over there. And then there was the one, so that was her third novel. There was one in the middle, which I can't remember, which was like about the art scene in Spain at like the turn of the century. I didn't quite love that one so much because I wasn't very interested in the art scene, I think, was the fundamental issue there. Can't remember what it's called. But anyway, come on, Jessie Burton, don't let me down. So that's out next week and I'm totally going to read it. The other one that I was thinking about reading was the new Blake Crouch novel, which is called Upgrade, I think. Also out next week. And it is a crime sci-fi thriller. Kind of what he does, isn't it? Crime sci-fi thriller about DNA hacking, I think, genome hacking. And I just was like, that's a cool concept and probably not that far into the distant future in the realms of possibility. So I read Dark Matter and I enjoyed that. And it's just kind of, you know, I like to mix it up a little bit with like the highbrow thinking stuff and then just a bit of, you know, fun. I think that one might be, you know, in the fun category. So we shall try that. I also have two books I'm going to read that I own. Hold on, I shall pick them up. Right, the first one is this one, The Seawomen by Chloe Timms. I mentioned this in my last TBR video as a possibility, but I didn't quite get around to it. And I've only just bought it. And look, isn't it lovely? God, it's a pretty one. It is a debut, and I've got to say, the synopsis just makes me think of Moana. I think it might be like the thinking person's Moana. Chloe Timms she's probably like banging her head on the desk like, no, it's not Moana. Right, so slightly cultish, closeted, definitely isolated community living on an island. They are not allowed into the sea. Yeah, see where I'm going there? They're not allowed into the sea because it's dangerous. It is possibly inhabited by sea women that make it dangerous, so no one can leave. That's pretty much as I know. It's supposed to be like a story about like folklore and myth and legends. And it just sounded exciting. It sounded captivating. And I hope that I can read it without the Moana soundtrack playing constantly in my head. Although, you know, Moana was an excellent story. Possibly, is it the best ever Disney? It's got to be top 5. It's definitely the best of recent years. Definitely better than Frozen, don't at me. The Seawomen, actually do at me. Tell me what you think. Best Disney of all time? Best Disney of recent years. There's 2 categories there. I'd love to know your thoughts. Right, the last one is possibly the one I'm most excited about. Yeah, no, we're going to go with it. I'm most excited about it. It's another debut, and it's Nightcrawling by Leila Motley. Now this, she's an American author. She is 19! She is 19, people. Good for her. And also old, but good for her. Now, she is American. I believe this is actually doing quite well over there, although it's not been out very long. It's got some impressive people quoting her on the back, and it just sounds great. So, we have a 17-year-old protagonist in Oakland, California. She's black, she's from an extremely poor neighborhood. She has a mother in jail. I think her father's died. She's trying to look after the neighbour's kid because the parents are heroin addicts. She's desperately trying to get a job. And one thing leads to another. She's just struggling to survive, and she ends up as a prostitute. Now, she has an encounter with a corrupt police officer. Don't know the details of that yet, but the book is then the fallout from that incident. And I understand her trying to sort of like navigate the adult world, that line between being a child and being an adult, and having so many things like stacked against you practically and logistically, but also institutionally. Part of me thinks it feels like the synopsis sounds a bit like Angie Thomas, The Hate You Give, like when Star was sort of walking that line between, you know, trying to retain her childhood innocence when it's been ripped away from you, and learning what she's going to stand up for when all these things are stacked against her. So it's like that line between childhood and adulthood in like an enormously political context, basically. But obviously this is adult fiction. I understand it's quite literary fiction, whereas that was like YA fiction. But really good, really good. I enjoyed that a lot. So I'm super looking forward to reading this. And as a general rule, I'm a big fan of Dayglow on a cover. Big fan. So if anyone's read it, I would really like to know, did you like it? Am I going to like it? I really hope I like it. I really hope I like it. And that's pretty much my month. So that's 4 books that I'm planning to read. And if I've got time or anything else crops up along the way and I think, oh, yes, please, I might read that too. That's my plan. Have you got a good plan? I hope you do. Yeah, I'd like to know your favourite reads from June, what you're planning to read in July, and your top Disney films. Please and thank you. I hope you're having a lovely week, whatever you're doing anyway. And I'll speak to you soon. Thanks very much for watching.